everybody, and welcome in to the final edition of the Clingers Have Spoken for season 44. I'm Joel Klinger. Alongside me, as always, through Zoom, is my brother Michael. Maybe you can see us on the screen, and maybe you're just hearing our voices, but we are happy you're here. We're thrilled to be here. We're a day late, but what an incredible finale, Michael. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. We've had 24 hours to really let last night's episode marinate, take in some different opinions and takes, and I think I'm a little bit less mad about the outcome than I was last night.
Wow.
I'm not mad that Jam Jam won. I can totally understand why he won, how he won. I think he's a great winner. Joel, the thing that I'm mad about is that CAROLYN did not get a single vote.
Nope.
She didn't get a single vote. HEIDI got a vote. And CAROLYN did not get one single solitary vote for Sole Survivor. And that is an injustice.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so like here I get why you're saying that, like, because she didn't come in second, right? She came in third, which feels wrong. However, like, the only person that I could have seen, the most likely person I could have seen to throw a vote her way would have been Franny, because they were so close and had this connection. And Franny's like, I'm gonna live like just like you, and I want to be like you, and all this stuff. But like, if CAROLYN and Jam Jam are like 1A and 1B, it's like, well, you're gonna put your 1A person like this. If this was like ranked choice voting, like, you know, like I get it, but it's like you only have one vote. It's not like you're filling out a ballot for MVP and you have first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. It's like you got one vote, right? And you know, it's pretty arguable and pretty probable that CAROLYN is the best no-vote finalist we've ever seen.
I mean, I think undoubtedly she is. You know, I am more bothered than I was at the end of Winners at War when Michelle should have been in second place and Natalie was in second place instead. I understand you're voting for first, but do you not think they all knew everyone was voting for Jam Jam? So somebody should just throw CAROLYN a vote.
Just throw a vote.
Throw a vote on, like Carson, throw a vote on your island mom. You know? I feel like everyone wants to be like, oh yeah, well, I voted for the winner. They still want to feel like they voted correctly at Final Tribal Council. But, you know, all that to say, props to Jam Jam, and honestly, props to TIKA. HEIDI, you know, I think we're all just a little upset that HEIDI won Final Four immunity and won firemaking. I think we all were hoping for a TIKA 3 finale, TIKA 3 final tribal council, and it didn't happen, and that's okay. But props to TIKA, because these three stooges, as they call themselves, took it from worst to first and honestly dominated the game, and they stayed loyal to each other to the very end, and you just don't see that enough anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Three Stooges, they're more like three icons. Like, literally, we were so close to seeing an all TIKA 3, just if HEIDI's not just, like, amazing at fire, because CARSON actually whipped his up pretty good. Like, I was thinking, you know, if I'm HEIDI in that situation, I would probably do the exact same thing. Which, as the viewer, I was like, oh, okay, so CAROLYN and Jam Jam are just through, and then maybe we see an all TIKA final 3. That's great. I love that. And if HEIDI wins, you know, good for her, I guess. But bummer for me. A bummer for Carson. But I was thrilled with the way it went, because I think if HEIDI had kept immunity and put it on somebody else and like made two other people go to fire, we would have seen the TIKAs go at each other. And I think it was a truly poetic thing for them to literally not even have to. Like, they never had to cross each other. Like, not once. They didn't the whole game, and they didn't have to at the end. And I think that maybe some people were looking for a payoff of that. That was teased all season with CAROLYN and Jam Jam. But I was just thrilled to see that, like, the Tikas never really had to break up. They were like, yeah, we're friends, we're alliances, we're whatever. We're gonna ride or die each other. And I think that's awesome.
So you're saying that if you think if it was Tika 3 at the final 3 that they would have gone after each other? Because CAROLYN and Jam Jam were in the final 3 and they didn't. They were not going after each other.
What I'm saying is, if like she put Jam Jam and CARSON in fire making, they would have gone after each other. Like it was like they would have been competing against one another. When like the whole game they just haven't done that at all. They've teased it. They've said, I don't know about CAROLYN, I don't know about this, but it's kind of been pretty awesome. And that's part of the reason why I love this season so much, is that finally we have an alliance of people that I like that stuck together through thick and thin and made it to the end. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, great season. Let's talk about Heidi's fire-making decision. And I saw some people out there saying online today that she shouldn't have done that. Of course she should have.
Yeah.
If she's trying to win Survivor, like, that's what to do. That's what you do now. Like,
right.
I think we can all say Final Four fire making is stupid, or that it shouldn't be every season. I don't know any weird hardos for Final Four fire making. But that's the game as it is now. She had to have a big move. She played a meaningless idol last tribal, or 2 tribals
right.
before. She won immunity. So this is her Underwood moment. She's trying to Underwood this thing. And, she did it. And honestly, if she hadn't have done that, she probably doesn't come in second place.
Yeah.
It's probably
totally.
unanimous Jam Jam at that point.
Yeah.
Or, maybe CAROLYN gets a vote. So, or maybe CARSON does make it into the finals. So, Heidi did what Heidi had to do, but it was just too little too late. And I think that's what was so anticlimactic watching it for me, because I was like, okay, it was fastest fire making ever. No one cares. Heidi is not going to win this thing.
Right.
So I thought that was not as exciting as it could have been, but props for Heidi. That's the fastest it's ever happened. So good for her. And CARSON, I like how they included the story of him feeling like, I'm going to fail at this. I'm going to fail at this. It's going to be embarrassing for me because I'm not going to be able to start a fire. And if I could just start a fire, I would win. And it turned out that he wasn't embarrassed at all in the firemaking. Like, I'm sure there's a bunch of people sitting on the jury like, man, CARSON would have had me in firemaking.
Yeah.
And,
totally.
it just, bad luck for him. And, it seems like everyone thinks CARSON would have won if he had won firemaking.
I mean, that's what I've thought. Like, we've had that conversation here last week.
I think we would have seen a very different show. We would have watched, maybe not super different, but we would have gotten a lot more CARSON talking to the camera and a lot less Jam Jam, and probably the same amount of CAROLYN.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought it was the right move by Heidi to put herself in there. That's what you should do. I appreciate that she had the self-awareness to know, I'm not likely to get a lot of votes. I've got to do something. I've got to go pedal to the metal here, try to get this thing done. Because unless you're taking 2 goats like Marianne did, and you're not a front runner, you've got to do it. You have to put yourself in Final Four firemaking.
Yeah, so I listened to the Rob Has a Podcast finale episode with Marianne Oketch, and they were like, oh, this is going to put to rest that you should give up immunity and like put yourself in fire, and that'll win you the thing, because that was the thing with Cass, right? She didn't take out the man. That was the thing with Natalie. She didn't take out Tony. Like, and all these things, you have to understand, like, there's nothing that Heidi could do at that point that would have won her the game. However, that is a stronger play than just moving into the final three. It's riskier. You get to pick your target and take them out. That is a good move, but it's not like a game everything move. I feel like the only reason Chris Underwood won when he did was because the people that were with him weren't perfect players, right? Like Gavin was the next best option, and Gavin did play a game where he made it to the end, but there's a lot of people on the jury that say that wasn't because of anything Gavin did, it's what I did or what, ever happened. Like in this season, you were going against people that dictated every single vote since the merge. You can't win that battle. However, you can get one vote from your ally who says, I respect you for that move, and you can make $100,000. That is the correct move. And like all these people saying, no one's ever going to do that again. No, people are going to do that again. Like it works, but it's not everything. It's not a trump card. Like if Natalie knocks out somebody else that's not Tony in Fire, if she knocks out Michelle in Fire, she's not going to win that season. Maybe if she beats Tony, but she would have been the best player anyway. Like that's not an advantage for her to just take out just anybody. You have to take out the right person, and the other people there have to be weak for that to be the move. And Chris Underwood saw Rick Devens. He was like, that's the guy. I know that if he makes it to the end, he's going to win. And these other people, I can beat them. So I'm going to take him, and I'm going to knock him out, and then I'm going to win. And if I lose, I go home. And he won. So you really have to read the room, and not every season is the same. Just because you did one thing one season doesn't mean that is a perfect example of how that's going to play out every single time. And it goes both ways with that firemaking thing. It's not going to win you the season. It's not going to lose you the season. It's a conglomeration. It's one thing. It's like probably more than like a challenge, but it's a little short of like social games and like a couple alliances that mean a lot.
Right. And another aspect of it is, okay, there's a few aspects. Like, you should only do it if you're a confident firemaker. If you don't know, if you're not confident, get to the final three. That's the goal.
Right. Yeah.
But also, it depends. You also don't want to give that moment to someone else. So if there's someone like, if you're like, it does not make sense. Here's what it doesn't make sense to do, is to put the two front runners out of the four in Fire against each other. Because then you're saying whoever wins that is who's going to win Survivor.
Yep.
So you putting yourself into it says, I'm at least not bolstering anyone's resume that I'm going to have to sit next to at the final three. At the final three, I'll either be in the jury or I'll be able to say that I made a big move to get so-and-so out, to get the biggest player in the game out. And so that's one part of it. Like, if he puts, if she puts, I think maybe the best thing for CAROLYN in hindsight is that she gets put in Fire against Jam Jam or Carson and wins. And that way CAROLYN can then say, hey, I won Fire, I got here. And that just gives her one more thing. I think CAROLYN was maybe one thing short in the end of being able to say, like, this is what I did for my resume. But, yeah, I one thing Stephen Fishback said, he tweeted out today, was jury members vote for who they want to vote for, and then they make up for reasons why.
Yep.
And I think that's largely what happened because – they did that thing again, that scene where they're showing all the jurors and what they want people to do and say to prove that they knew what they were doing. The things that they said about they want CAROLYN to do and show are the things that she said and showed in Final Tribal Council. And nobody voted for her. Honestly, Heidi's had one of the most annoying final tribals I've witnessed. Like constantly jumping into the conversation,
Yeah.
constantly like, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's like, Heidi, just take a chill pill. Like, we heard way more from Heidi at Final Tribal, honestly, than we did Carolyn, and it was close with Jam Jam. I was like, why are
Yeah.
y'all trying to build, like, why are the editors trying to build up Heidi as, like, maybe she has a chance when we all know she didn't? Like, build up Carolyn. Like, we saw basically nothing from Carolyn at Final Tribal. And I'm sure I think Jam Jam had like a masterful final tribal. He's making
Yeah.
people laugh. He's being self-referential. But he's also making some really good points about his social game and how that helped him strategically. But yeah, like I really left thinking like, this is what the jury said they wanted Carolyn to do. This is what Carolyn did. So maybe they just thought Jam Jam answered their questions better. And Jam Jam, like Carolyn performed well, but Jam Jam performed the best at Final Tribal. But also, to me, in my opinion, if I was a juror, Final Tribal would carry almost no weight.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I know that the jurors always say that it carries a lot of weight, but I don't really believe them. I think they have to say that.
Right. Yeah. I feel like they're coached to say that because without final tribal council, then like what's the point of the whole episode? Like let's like that whole bit. Like that is like supposed to be the climax of the season, right? And if you just wipe that out and say, "No, this doesn't really matter," then it's just kind of like a reveal. It's not really like a thing that's happening. So I feel like they have to say that. And also, like, if I'm a jury member and I want to feel like I'm still playing the game and a piece of it, I want to feel like my vote matters and I want to make them squirm and I want to make them earn it, right? Like, I want to still hold my power. So, of course, I'm going to go in there and say, my vote's still on the table, even though, like, 95% chance I'm going to vote for Jam Jam, unless somebody just comes out and says some crazy thing and I was completely wrong about how this game is being played. Like, but I'm still going to say my vote's still on the table and all this stuff. Danny's vote was not on the table. Danny was going to vote for Heidi, like flat out. Like I don't know how you watch the final tribal and like he said something like she had a logical answer, so I just voted for her. And I was like, yeah, everybody's going to have like a logical answer for you, bro. Like what is that? Just say like, yeah, we were tight. I really like Heidi. I'm pretty impressed that she's made it this far. She beat me. I'm going to vote for her. I think that's totally fine. But don't give me this like, oh, she played a logical game. Come on, man. Like I feel like yeah, everybody knows basically of what they're going to do. When we talk about final tribals, like Heidi, I think for Heidi like it may have been like a cultural thing. Like, and I'm not being like, I'm not trying to be, anything here, but I love Heidi a lot. But English is not her first language. And this is a stressful moment where she needs to get her points across, and she knows that. And she feels like it's slipping away from her, maybe because she's not saying the right words or, like she basically has to make her point. And she's realizing the jury believes what Jam Jam is saying and like agrees with that, and then has to come in and say, yeah, but that's a difficult situation to be for anybody. I mean, look, like all this blame on Heidi for like doing the fire and her final tribal. She had a losing position. That's like going in to play Monopoly. Everybody gets $2,000 to start with, and you get 200. It's like good luck, maybe. But the odds are not in your favor. Like you have to get pretty freaking lucky. And Carolyn, I wasn't impressed with Carolyn's either. I don't know. Like she talked a lot about herself and her emotions, but I didn't think that was like a winning final tribal council. But when Jam Jam said, I talked to the people about their loved ones, saw the twinkle in their eye, and if it was gone, I knew you were lying to me. I don't know how accurate his radar is, but that is an argument. That's a bar. Like, I don't really know if that's accurate or not, but that resonated with them. And I think that totally makes sense. And I think Jam Jam deserves to win. Like, I think Jam Jam of the three was definitely the most polished speaker, the most like normally charismatic one of them. And yeah, I thought that this final tribal played out about as well as it could have for Jam Jam based off of the people that were there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it was all together, zoom out. It was a great season with some great characters. And for once, one of the great characters actually won the game.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like, there's like some great characters, and then it's like, Nick Wilson won. Like, what?
Yeah.
On a
Tommy
season.
won.
Yeah. It's like, what about all of those like fun, exciting people with the great interviews? I mean, what about one of those people that we grew to love over the course of the season? And Jam Jam is absolutely a great winner, and honestly is a really good Survivor player. He only got sloppy a couple times, and it didn't end up costing him. He got a little bit lucky here and there. Like the closest he came to going home was like when they made it at least seem like when Matt went home, he was on the chopping block.
Yeah.
Props to Jam Jam on a great game. Props to CAROLYN on a great game. CAROLYN would have won a lot of seasons. There's a lot of people who have sat at Final Tribal throughout the years that she would have beaten. Honestly, there's like some world where maybe Heidi wins. If she ends up at the end with, Jamie and I don't know, but like there's definitely a world where Carson wins. There's definitely a world where Lauren could have won because she seemed like everyone liked her. And that's not really something that we got to see until it was her episode to go home. And that's why they're all saying we've got to get rid of Lauren because she's good at challenges and everyone likes her and she has a great chance of winning, especially because when your whole tribe is sitting on the jury and they are like, man, I'm so glad that she's still in this and that's what I would have done if I was still in the game. I would have won some immunities and gotten to the end. And so Lauren was a real threat. So it was really fun to go into the final. I mean, I think we all knew it was going to be a TIKA member by the last episode that was going to win. Just from watching the show to this point and knowing the story would not make sense if anyone that wasn't a TIKA member won.
Yeah.
But from a gameplay perspective, just taking like all of the like interviews off the table, from a gameplay perspective, what we saw, at least 4 of them had a great chance to win going into the final couple tribal councils, and that's always exciting. So great season of Survivor, and man, there's a few things that I wish they'd stop doing, like the immediate not reunion show, but whatever that show is called, the after show.
The after show.
Man. And the thing is, I think I felt it more than I have felt it before because I like CAROLYN so much. But like for the 0 vote finalist,
brutal.
Just brutal. And like, I know that she's happy for Jam Jam, and she's legitimately happy for him. But she's also just like, I'm so like, yeah, my brain is not here. Yeah. And Heidi's thrilled because she won $100,000. A lot of second place people are like shell shocked, like they didn't win. Heidi's like, I came in second place. Great. This is awesome because I could have gotten out long before now, and I didn't think I'd get there's probably a lot of people who didn't think she'd get any votes. So, I think, it was fun for Jam Jam. It was fun to see, that Matt and Franny are.
Oh my gosh!
They were really living it up at Ponderosa together, And I think that's still happening. I'm pretty sure that's still happening.
Yeah.
So, props to them. That was fun to see. Uh, I think that the Jamie fake idol thing, that was fun. But, like, I think if you were there on the island with Jamie, you love Jamie. And so that you were so much more into that moment of her finding it out. And we're all like, well, this is old news to us. Like,
Yeah.
we all just think, like, the way that they showed Jamie in the actual edit, which, of course, they're filming this, they don't know how the edit went. But they're, to us, we're just like, we didn't really need this Jamie scene. We could, if you really wanted to know what her reaction was to finding that out, you could have, listened to her exit interview or something like that.
See, I don't know, like, what else are you going to talk about with Jamie? Because they have to hit, like, everybody and ask him each a question, right? I actually kind of loved seeing that reaction because I feel like we never see that reaction on Survivor. It's just kind of like they watch it on TV and they're like, oh, that's what happened. And I don't know what that does for them. Like I want to know how Jamie's level of trust is with like human beings after that. Like I want to see her reaction, and I want to know like what's going on inside of her brain. I actually kind of enjoyed that.
I mean, they didn't ask Brandon any questions, I'm pretty sure, that I can remember.
I think they just asked him, man, you were a football player. Like, you almost passed out. How was that? That was crazy. And it was like, yeah, it was tough. It's nothing like this, bro. And it's like, okay.
Survivor's no joke, right, Brandon? Oh, yeah, I played in the NFL. It's so hard. Oh, shouldn't everybody apply to be on Survivor? It's like, Jeff, a lot of people apply to be on Survivor. Y'all are not hurting for people that want to be on the show. There's people who've been applying for 10 years. Like, please, no one else apply to be on this show. I've been trying to get on the show for 10 years. So that got a little bit old of them constantly, Jeff, like being like, shouldn't everyone apply? Like, it's not attainable.
Yeah.
It's not attainable for you and me to get on Survivor. That's not going to happen. Unless there's like a blood versus water season and we can like go on like on the premise of like, oh yeah, we do a podcast every week recapping the show, so we'd love to talk about strategy, blah blah blah, and we're brothers who sort of look alike, so you should cast us. So that's like our only angle to ever maybe get on Survivor, and they're just like, oh yeah, apply to be on. It's like, no one gets on this show. I cannot stress that enough. Out of the thousands of people that apply, a very few number have actually ever gotten on the show.
Yeah. It's like asking professional athletes, can anybody do this? And they're like, yeah, I did it. And it's like, okay, you did it, but like, yo, look around. There ain't that many.
Oh yeah. All you got to do is work hard and believe in yourself. Then you can get in there.
Yo, God got me here, man. He can do the same thing for you, bro. And it's like, okay, God and like genetics and like a lot of things going right for you. But yeah, I do want to say, like, I don't normally cry during episodes of Survivor. I legitimately did cry in the finale when Carson was freaking out and about fire and Jim helped him.
Yeah.
Like that, watching like Carson like almost break down, watching him break down and watching Jim just like hug him and being like, dude, like, you're not going out like this. Like, you can do this. Showing him how to do it. Even though, like, for all he knew, he would be up against him. Like, that is like a true personal thing. And I think that has been missing for me, at least from what they've shown in season past. Like, that to me has been missing from Survivor. Like, just a goodwill play that's like, there's nothing to this. Like, this is not strategic at all. It's bad strategy. But I care about you, and I don't want to see you go out like this. So we're going to fix it, and we're going to help you do better, and you're going to get through this. Like, that touched me, man. Like, that's what we all need to be for each other, you know? Like, it just like all the things that Jeff's saying, like, oh, it's just like real life, and it's like, oh, it's just like, to me, that hit at that moment, and I am thrilled that Jam Jam won. After that, I was like, oh my god, like I would take a bullet for this man. Like this is amazing. Like this is such a human thing to be doing for someone else that you're competing with. And yeah, it threw me, man.
My I agree that it was a very awesome human moment. And my argument to Madeline while it was happening was, this is great gameplay by Jam Jam. So you are encouraging someone that you know you would beat them in fire. So
Yeah.
if you go against them in fire, you will win. And then who's that person going to vote for in Final Tribal Council? They're going to vote for you because you were with them at their most vulnerable yesterday, and you were encouraging them and teaching them and showing them how to do it. And I just like, and you know that you're going to send that person to the jury, and they're going to be like, Jam Jam is actually a great guy because he was helping me even though he knows he could have been going against me. So I do think it was like a legitimate, like, human. Jam Jam feels like his heart goes out to Carson, and they've been through so much together, and he doesn't want to see Carson crash and burn this hard and have a breakdown at Final Four Firemaking. And it was still great gameplay by Jam Jam because there's no way he's not getting Carson's vote at that point.
Yeah, you're still taking the risk that Carson would go up against you. And even if Carson doesn't go up against you and goes up against Heidi and wins, you still have a guy that has your exact same resume, but like probably like maybe even a little bit better. Like, to me, it's not like he was helping CAROLYN. It's not like he was helping Nora. He helped like the biggest threat in the game who was having a self-crisis. Like, to me, that's, I don't know, man.
I mean,
It just
okay,
hit-
but either way, you still softened Carson up for Final Tribal then. Because Carson's not going to come at you as
You don't
hard.
think Carson would go in there and still be like, yeah, I played the best game? You know, like, I don't understand.
I don't think, like, I think that if you are crying and you're a young grown up, but you're a grown up and you're crying on an island by yourself, and someone comes up to you and comforts you and encourages you and makes you believe in yourself, the next day you are not, even for $1 million, going to go out and talk crap about that person. Like, he would have still argued for himself to win, but I don't think he could have gone out there and been like, Jam Jam didn't do anything and I was running the show the whole time. I don't think he could have done that.
Jam Jam didn't really do that with CAROLYN. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just don't see that. I just don't see that going down like that. Another Jam Jam moment with Fire that I loved was immediately before that, where him and CAROLYN are just sitting on the beach and just like trash talking each other's fire while they're just sitting there and it was like they were just cutting up. That's, to me, I feel like the game has been so much of a game for so long, where we're talking about blindsides and strategies and taking out the biggest threats. This was such a relief because I found people that I liked, and they worked together, and they just hung out and were like decent to each other. Like that final tribal council, everyone was so like flowery to each other, and I personally love that. Maybe you want a more cutthroat, like, whatever. But I could do without War Dog talking about whether it's the game or the person. Like, I can do without questioning, certain people's character. Give me 18 Jam Jams, and you can keep your 18 Shans for a season. You know?
So the thing is, Jeff Probst wants this to be a show that families watch together. And because of that, what he's not going to do from now on, no matter how great of TV it is, and how it formed reality TV in such an interesting way, he's not going to have 8 people go stand up there and just shoo one of the finalists out and then go sit down. He's not going to do that anymore. I would love to see it. I would love to see it because it's a TV show. And I get it that these are real people and they're going through real things. But I miss that because I actually think that Final Tribal is fake. Like I've said before. If you've already decided who you're going to vote for, you should be able to stand up and argue for that person or argue against someone else. Like, I want the jury to do more arguing at Final Tribal Council than, because I feel like that always makes for good TV. Like, you can kind of see that when jury members are like, "Oh, CAROLYN, talk about your emotions and strategy," and they're trying to like throw CAROLYN a softball. But what I wish is that jury members could actually more enter into the debate themselves and basically pick a side and argue for that person. So each person in each finalist has like a person giving a stump speech for them. Like, I would love to see something like that moving forward.
Yeah, maybe they're like everybody picks their representation, just like lawyers.
You have to pick who on the jury is representing you, but you don't actually know because you haven't talked to them if they think that you should win or not. So the person that you pick, they might be like, I don't even know who I'm supposed to be representing right now because they have done 0. Like, they don't deserve to win. I'm not going to make an argument for them. That I would love to see that. I would love to see that. Or someone just start making stuff up. I would love to see that.
Man, I feel like there's just so much to get into with the final episode, man.
But we're out of time, basically.
We're out of time. We could take a break and come back. But
I think I don't think we're gonna do that. I'm really tired. Okay. But right. It's been a great season, man.
It has.
44, the best New Era season yet.
Absolutely. 100% agreed. Long live Jam Jam. Long live CAROLYN. Long live CARSON. Long live TIKA.
Have a great summer.
Season 44. This has been The Clingers Have Spoken. I'm Joel. That's Michael. And we spoke. We will see you next season.
Thanks for
45.
watching, YouTube.